It is Michelle Alcorn here with my mom, Helen, in my kitchen, live on Atlantic Canada Cooks. And we're so excited because it's all about fish and chips here on June 9th. And in Atlantic Canada, well, let's just say Atlantic Canada on the Atlantic Ocean. And we love our fish. We love our seafood, right, Mom?
Sure do.
We had a wonderful visit yesterday to the Moncton Fish Market. It was established in 1917. It's so amazing to see local suppliers still supplying locally here in generations later. And speaking of that, we've got an amazing local supplier with us today, and he'll be here for generations, but he started his journey in Venezuela. And I want to welcome Luis from Delisur, Canada. Luis, you want to say hi and tell us who's with you?
Hey, good morning, everybody. I'm here with my wife, Marisabel.
Hi, Michelle. How are you?
And everybody.
Wonderful.
So today we're going to prepare a version of fish and chips, which is tostones baskets with shrimps. So it's going to be a South American version of fish and chips, right?
Oh, nice. We are so excited about that because one of the things we know, and especially I'm looking at a map of the world in behind the set here, and there's so much ocean around. So, and I think fish is an important part of diet. It's an important part of health and nutrition. And we hope we give you some great recipes that you can make anywhere in the world at home. So the menu. So we're going to do fish and chips a few different ways, but here in Atlantic Canada, you will often see in many restaurants, beer battered fish. So I'm just going to grab this behind. And I've got some amazing cod here. And I have to show you this fillet. And I don't want to break it, but it's the length of the plate. It was longer. So here would be the other piece. So we've broken this beautiful cod fillet up. And we have some wonderful Atlantic haddock fillets here as well. So we're going to do the cod in a beautiful beer batter. We're additionally going to take the cod and we're going to use it in a little fish and chip appetizer bite. And so we're pretty excited about it. We're going to use the second one with a tempura batter. So we're going to say thank you to our Japanese friends that have gifted us that wonderful form of cooking. And in that one, it's going to be a gluten-free rice flour. Mom will give you those because I'm going to hold the next plate. Because if it's near Mom, it might not be back. It wouldn't be an Atlantic Canadian fish and chip recipe without talking a little bit about lobster and how important lobster is in our culture. But I am going to be using this as a small side dish to have with our fish and chips. And we're going to talk a little bit more about the lobster later. But just to remind everybody, the lobster are black or dark green. When they're cooked, they're red. So thank you for the Moncton Fish Market for making sure these were cooked perfectly for us, because it's one of the things we don't usually do at home. And I see Luis laughing. I think he's probably done it, and it's a big deal and a little bit messy, but it is backyard season, and I don't mind cooking it in my backyard. But it does smell your house up for a few days.
Yeah.
No, Mama, put it over here.
Okay.
Away from your hands. Just joking. So we're going to have fish and chips, of course. So our chips are going to be some nice fresh cut fries. And Mom, just before you sit down, I have to laugh because this is not the first appearance of this on Atlantic Canada Cooks in the last 4 years. But this would be, we were determining it's probably from the 1970s or 80s.
The guillotine.
And it's still going.
Wow.
So we're going to be getting our chips ready. And what I love about this, and we've got some beautiful fresh local potatoes here that I got at Lewis Mountain Farms. And I know Luis and I are both really dedicated to using the freshest local ingredients that we can find And it's exciting in Atlantic Canada because all the gardens are growing and we're going to see more local. So we've got these little smaller potatoes, like new potatoes. And I like using these for French fries or chips, as we say, because they're just a little softer and sweeter. So I'm excited about that. So I'm going to hold that bowl for a sec. And I'm going to get some of these cut up. So while I'm cutting up my potatoes, we're going to go over, I'm going to show you a couple potatoes, and then we're going to go over and let Luis get started in the kitchen there and tell us what he has going on. But I'm just going to move my board. Hopefully you can see a little bit. Have to move my bread out of the way. Copa Bakery. Gotta love them. So with this, the really easy part is you just drop the potato in. And I think many big restaurants have large version of these for their hand cut ones, right? And then basically I am just going to pull that. See if I can do it in the air. This will be the fun one. There we go. And there comes the potatoes out the other side, all perfectly cut into the size we want for French fries. So I see Shinobu's just joined us from Japan. And I know Shinobu loves her lobster rolls and French fries because when she visited us, I think she ate a lobster roll or fish and chips everywhere she went. Because that's smart. Even though I know Japan has a lot of amazing fish. So I'm going to do some potatoes. So we'll get those ready for the air fryer. And we're going to go over and talk to Luis and see what's going on over there. Luis, you're muted.
All right,
Perfect.
let me start again. So, as I told, we're going to make tostones with shrimps. Tostones are nothing but green plantains fried, but they need a little bit of processing. All right. Again, plantains, I won't stop saying this, are very, very healthy. In fact, my wife is an enthusiast of healthy nutrition and healthy eating, and she says that plantains are one of the best carbohydrates available, right? So let's start by, my wife is going to help me showing how to prepare plantains. So you cut the edges, as you see here, right? And then what I like to do is cut it in half like this, and then you just cut it like this with your knife, and with your bare hands, peel them like this. Pretty easy. Well, not that easy, but you get used to it, right? So you peel it, boom, and then you boil them. You put it in hot water for, let's say, 20 minutes, around 20 minutes, but you will have to be there checking with a fork. But when it's soft, they're ready. So that is the first part. Let me finish this one. So, voila. This one is peeled, the whole plantain here. So I have one ready here. What are they? Here. This one is already boiled. I got with this, right? This one is already boiled and it's soft. So the way you make them in basket shapes is using one of these. No, pero one of these. You use the lemon squeezer, and then with a little bit of garlic, olive oil, and salt, you brush it a little bit, right? And then you put a piece of plantain in it, and Boom. If you have it, you have your basket here. You see? Sometimes it breaks a little bit. Don't worry. It will be fixed during the frying, right? Because you have to fry them. So this is the first part. In the second part, I'll show you how to make the shrimps. And then we'll fry the plantains and we ensemble the whole thing.
That looks amazing. I love the lemon squeezer. I love it when a chef takes a little bit of the mystery. And it's also wonderful when we can show all of our viewers things that you can do at home. I see Diana has joined us from Colombia. So she's had the opportunity to be here in Moncton and meet Luis. And Diana was telling me last night that her favorite recipe or food while she was here for a couple of months was fish and chips. So I hope afterwards Diana will share a little bit of her thoughts and feelings. So I'm getting ready. I'm going to get the beer batter ready so that we can get the fish cooked. We're going to get Mom to come up here and help us here in a few minutes. But in the beer batter, in here, I have 1 cup of flour. Now, you know that we love to involve the international community. So I go to the Arabiyya store on St. George Street in Moncton, see Faraz and his wife Fatima, but because this is in Arabic, but it's a fine brown rice or brown flour. I'm using this because it's imported and I'm hoping this one will be a little bit easier on my stomach. So we've got a cup of flour in here and we're going to flavor this seasoning for the beer batter just a little bit. And as I said, you're going to see this on menus across Atlantic Canada. You definitely will see it year round. We do fish, different types of fish year round, but we also have wonderful places that have it frozen when it's really fresh. So all of it is really delicious. So I'm gonna use my dry ingredients first in here. So I've got the 1 cup of flour. I'm gonna use, it says a half a teaspoon of garlic. I might use a little more. So we're gonna put some garlic powder, not garlic salt. You want to make sure that you're watching that in there. And also continuing my journey of around the world, which is one of my favorite things to do as I'm traveling and connecting cultures, is this amazing paprika. I wish you could smell it. I picked this up with Jawad's mom Milu in the market in Tetuan. So it brings me great memories when I use these spices because I remember who I was with and then her amazing food that she cooked with it afterwards. So 1 teaspoon of paprika. And this is a tablespoon and a half. So I'm just gonna, way it doesn't look full. So we've got these ingredients in here. And the other thing I'm gonna add in here is a little bit of salt. And I've got out my regular salt for this, or an iodized salt, because I want to get the balance. So there's a teaspoon of salt that went into here. And now I'm going to whisk this together. And because we want the dry ingredients well mixed, and we want these ingredients to get all of those wonderful flavors through. And it's funny that paprika turns it almost a little pinky color. And we've got that all mixed. And now I'm going to take my wet ingredients and I'm just going to make sure that they're mixed well together. And I'm going to combine the 2 of these. So what I also want to do is I'm going to turn my front burner on and I've got some canola oil that we're going to fry the fish in. And just remember that when you're frying fish or anything, use a vegetable oil that has a high smoking point. You wouldn't want to do this in olive oil because it would burn. So just remember that when you're frying foods for that piece of it. So we'll put these aside. I'm gonna grab my other bowl here. And we're going to put an egg in this. So we're going to crack an egg into this bowl. And then I'm going to make sure that egg is beaten up really well. And then the fun part, I get to put some beer in here. If you didn't want to use this, there's non-alcoholic beer that you can get. Really due to the smoking point and how hot the fryer is, just for parents or anybody, it usually burns off the alcohol that's in it. So it's so funny. I'm using a beer called The Local Legend. So that was it's a blonde ale, so that's kind of fun. And it says, be local, be cool, be kind, with a difference. So hats off to these guys. I love their label. And this is Blogside Brewing Company. And you know what's fun? They're from Prince Edward Island. And I'm spilling my beer now. That's not what we want to do. So I am going to use a cup and a third of this beer. Now, the beer's foaming up a bit. You know, I have to do, ooh, The Local Legend. Good job. It tastes absolutely delicious. Now, one of the tricks in this batter is the yeast and the different things that are in that beer are really what's going to make a difference in how the batter rises. So now I'm mixing my beer and eggs together, and I have to giggle on this because I've seen people do this in the morning after they've been out the night before, but it's not for fish and chips. So I have my dry ingredients, and now I've got the beer and the egg mixed together, and I'm going to combine these into my bowl. Oh, thanks, Mom. Just check the burner behind if you don't mind. So I'm going to give this a good mix, but I want to be careful to not really over stir that batter too much, because you can overwork a batter and then it won't really rise as well. So I'm going to get this stirred up. It's going to be a few more minutes for the burner to get up to temperature. So we're just going to set this aside. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the slaw I'm making, and then we'll go back and visit the Deli Sierra Canada kitchen. That looks good. It's got a wonderful color. You can see that. And I think it's a lot of that paprika. So that's going to have a really pretty color on it. I'm going to set that off to the side, Mom. Thank you so much. So that had the flour, garlic, paprika, salt, 1 egg in the beer. Now, Mom, if you could pass me over the fish for a second. One of the things we also want to do is we want to season this just a little bit. So while it's sitting, and I don't want to sit the salt on it long, I'm going to be ready to cook it, because if you sit the salt too long, it will draw the moisture out, and we don't want to do that. So we're just going to use, I have a little bit of sea salt here, and I'm going to just put a little bit of this across, and we'll season both sides, and a little fresh cracked pepper, if you don't mind grabbing it from me behind, Mom. Very traditional recipes. And we're often asked, and Luis and I were talking about this yesterday at the market with our good friend and Mom, and we were discussing what's Canadian. And I think fish and chips might be one of those ones. And a lot of that comes from our influence from the UK, though, because remember, many of us Canadians are all come from immigrant families that come over from Scotland, England, Ireland. And we're always talking about our tartans. And there's that big piece. And there was a big Scottish festival in Moncton this week. So nice salt and pepper on the cod and the haddock fillets. These are going to be ready. I am going to be taking this particular large cod fillet, and I'm going to hand you that plate. I want to be very careful. Show them how beautiful this is. Very fresh. And I'm going to cut this into smaller bite-sized pieces, because this is going to go on for my appetizer. So I'm just going to set this one here very gently. And Mom, I just get you to pass me a wet towel so I can wipe the fish off my hands. And coleslaw, a very traditional side dish. I love it because it's inexpensive to make. Thanks, Mom. and it's absolutely delicious and very simple ingredients. So in here, I've got some mayonnaise, and you can use however much you want. I'm going to add some mustard to mine, and because we all know how much I like garlic, I'm going to use Atlantic Mustard Mills garlic mustard. This is an awesome Prince Edward Island company. And in here, I've got some shredded cabbage and some shredded carrots. And we've got some diced celery. And while we go visit Luis, I'm going to cut up these radish. And what I really like about when you add, drop them too, it's going to be the beautiful colors that are going to come out in this salad. And that real, I don't know, sharpness from the radish gives it an extra great flavor. I think that's going to be just amazing with the fish. So, Luis, we're back over to you guys for a few minutes. Show us what's cooking in your kitchen.
All right. So first of all, you have a good taste in mustard. Check it. Check what I have here. I have the same mustard anyways. So here's how the basket of plantains end up. This is the shape that you should have. So I already have here the oil, and I'm going to start frying it. Boom. So it's gonna take like 5 minutes to be perfectly fried. All right. So while it fries, I'm going to start preparing the shrimps. So when you prepare shrimps, you have to be careful and keep the refrigeration. Don't break the cold. So keep them cold all the time. And the other important thing about shrimps is that you have to buy them with the heads all the time. Never buy pre-cooked shrimps. They don't have any flavor. So all the flavor of the shrimps, so the vast majority of flavor in the shrimps are in the heads. So use the heads for your cooking whenever it's possible. As I'm going to do now, I'm going to put them here with this special oil here, which is colored with something called onoto in Spanish or anato in English. It's a seed that color the oil in this, let's say, orange, yellow fashion that will give flavor, fragrance, and color to the preparation. I'm going to put the heads of the shrimps there, and we're going to let them heat there a little bit. And when they're orange, we're going to press them and extract all the flavor from the heads. All right. So let's go to the bodies of the shrimps. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the shrimps in 3 so we can fill the tostones. Because if I let them all together, it's going to be difficult to, put them in the baskets. So I'm gonna cut them in 3 like this. Yeah. So very fresh shrimps, amazing shrimps. There is a misconception about the farm shrimps. Farm shrimps are just fine. I mean, don't think that wild shrimps and everything that is wild is better. It is a myth in the food industry, because many farms has great processing, great foods for the shrimps. I know because I've visited some of them, so use them. Don't be afraid. So, going back to the heads. Here they are. So you see they are taking the orange, you know, the classic orange color when you heat shrimps. So with this, I'm gonna push the heads to extract the flavor. Be careful so you won't spoil your pan. But that's it. You push it, and then you're going to take this. I'm going to put it in a colander. Like that. That's it. That's enough. So I'm going to put this in a colander. Okay, let's check our toston. Our toston is almost done. It is done, actually. So I'm gonna take it off the oil. Look at so beautiful it ended up. I'm gonna put it here in a paper towel. And now I'm gonna take all these flavors from the shrimp's heads. Put it here, the colander. And push it again. And believe it or not, these drops I have here are amazing. I'm gonna push a little bit of olive oil, but I can add a little bit more. Okay. So now I have a couple of spoons of oil with a great flavor. This is magic. This is the difference. All right. So now with the help of a spatula, I'm gonna put all this in here again in the pan. I know this looks like a little bit of work, but believe me, it's worth it. It makes a difference. Okay. Now, a little bit of butter. Butter is important in life, guys. If you don't have butter in your life, you don't have a life. As my son says, it's true. So, a little bit of butter, not too much. Let's say a teaspoon of butter. And in there, I'm gonna put let's say 2 tablespoons of garlic. A lot of garlic. All right. I'm gonna use the same spatula I was using. I'm gonna let this cook a little bit. Remember, when you cook garlic, you don't want to overcook it, because if you overcook garlic, it will taste bitter, and you don't want bitter in your food, right? So this is 1 minute at the most. In here, you're going to put your shrimps. Can you please, honey, cover there? Your shrimps there. And once you put the shrimps here, you add a little bit of coconut milk. And you mix all together. Look at the color it's taken. Beautiful color. Yellow. There. And then you adjust for salt. Let's say a couple of pinches of salt. And a little bit of black pepper. Black pepper. And that's it. That's it. So we have our fillings for the tostones. In the
Luis,
next part, yes.
Luis, that looks unbelievable. I'm watching you
Thank
do
you.
that while I'm doing a few things, thinking, I need your address afterwards because he's over Moncton and I think I want to come and try that.
Yeah. In the next part, we're going to assemble the tostones with the shrimps. Right.
We're going to look forward to that. And I think hopefully everybody sees how we want to show you how to build your recipes and everything we're making within an hour. And most of our recipes, his is a little bit more involved, but those flavors are going to be well worth it. So we've got all the ingredients in here for our coleslaw. You see the mustard, the beautiful radish that are here, our celery, carrots, and that mayonnaise. And we're going to get that mixed up. And you really want to mix your coleslaw, if you can, ahead by a couple of hours because it really takes a little time for that flavor to build. And I like to add a little acid to my slaws just to make them have, it breaks down the cabbage a little bit and it blends in those flavors really well. And I've got a lime right here. So I've got a fresh lime. And I also want to use a little bit of the zest from the lime because I really want my slaw to have an extra kick to it. So I'm just going to take my microplane tool. You can usually use the end of a fork if you want. And I'm just going to put a little bit, and that's where the flavor really is in that. And I've also got a little bowl of mayonnaise over here. I'm going to add some more to because I'm going to make a tartar sauce to have with our fish, which is super important here. I like to make tartar sauce, but if I'm going to buy tartar sauce, I usually love this Kraft tartar sauce, which is always a popular served with fish. But I am going to make us a beautiful one. And the base of that starts with mayonnaise. And again, I put a little lime zest into it. I love it when you have a vegetable that you can use or a fruit that you can use all the parts. So I'm going to squeeze that lime. And it's probably going to put about a tablespoon of lime juice into this. And that's going to make that just have that extra delicious flavor, which I know is going to pair really well with our fish and chips. So if that's stirred up, and then we're going to put that in the refrigerator and let that just build in flavor. So as you see, beautiful. And it's got great colors in it because it's got all the different radish in different pieces. So I'm just going to get my tartar sauce done here. And Mom's got some ingredients for our cod bites that we're making. So let's go over to that tartar sauce. In this bowl, I have mayonnaise, and you can see a little of that lime zest that's on top. Now, you can do this with some cucumbers and add a bunch of different things, or I like to use a really great dill pickle that I've either someone else has made, because I don't do a lot of pickling. So I've got these great homemade dill pickles. Look at this, and look at the dill that's still floating in those. All of our local farmers markets, you'll see lots of great pickles, and I laugh because a lot of it is our grandma's recipe, and they're still making those nice dilly garlicky pickles the way that we like them. So I'm going to dice up that dill pickle. I've also just added some diced green onion in there. So, oh look, there's my smiley vegetable. The diced green onion is always great, and I don't want a lot of that. And when I'm making my tartar sauce, I always use green onion or chives, and all my chives are growing in my backyard right now because I don't want a bitter onion taste in it. Tartar sauce is just as the word says, tart. So we want that more tart flavor, which is where the lime, and then of course this wonderful dill pickle that I'm dicing up. And I've just cut the pickle long, and I'm dicing that up. And I just want to make sure you can see. I think I've got a lot of things going on my board here. There we go. Cutting the pickle in half and then into strips, and then using it so I can turn sideways and get a nice small dice. Because the sauce is going with the fish, we just want the brininess from that pickle. I don't necessarily want to have big chunks. I like big chunks of pickle on my burgers, which is another great way to have fish, because here you'll see a lot of fish burgers on menus, and really you're just sticking your fish and you're having a burger with fries. So you're going to add bread into that equation, which I think is just a great idea. So we're going to stir this up. I do want to add a little salt and pepper into this for some flavor. And I'm just double checking to make sure my mayonnaise to pickle ratio is good, because I do want enough of that big pickle chunk so it gets the tartness through my recipe. And I think I'm going to add another bit of pickle into this. We've got another half a pickle here on my board. And the same way, this is much better after you eat it after a few hours. And so many of the things here in Atlantic Canada Cooks, Mom and I are making so that we can have them always a snack with you in the morning, but we make it so that we can have it later for our dinner or our lunch. I'm going to take a piece of that dill that came out of this pickle jar, and I'm actually going to add that into my tartar sauce. And because it's the last pickle, I'm having a battle, the pickle battle here, to get it out of the container. We'll get a little bit of that dill diced into there. And Mom and I were talking about dill yesterday, because dill, right, Mom, grows back every year.
Yes.
So it's one of those really great herbs to use and to plant. I know in many climates they grow all the time, but when the snow comes, our plants do have a struggle. So they go dormant and then come back every year for us to enjoy. There we go. So now I have a good mayonnaise to pickle ratio in here. And I love these little bowls I have. They're made by local artisans. It makes me feel good when I'm using the bowls that I know people before have made. That smells good. So there is our homemade tartar sauce. We're going to put that recipe. Oh, a little salt. Thanks, Mom. She's armed with a salt shaker online for everybody to see. And I'm just going to add a little bit more lime juice into that. Yes. We're going to use it in a few minutes. We need to freshen the oil. Mom's just asking about burners in the background. So I'm going to wrap up this little dish and show you our cod bite. Mom, perfect. So we used one of these with the beer batter. I'm going to come back here in a minute and show you the tempura batter. So our chips on this one are little slices of potatoes. This is a great, look at this. Cod bite, all crusted with the beer batter. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to put the potato with a little bit of that tartar sauce. I'm going to do here. And we're going to put that bite on top. So instead of a whole order of fish and chips, you've got fish and chips all in one bite. So what we'll do is we'll take these little fresh potato chips that we made and we'll put those out and we'll stack each one of them. So it's a wonderful way to have a little appetizer of fresh bites. So for this one, we use the cod. We'll give that over to Mom. You know she's going to want to eat that bite. But just wait till we take a picture, as we say, right, Mom? So we've got the air fryer going and we're going to get our fries cooked. But I want to show you, Mom's got that perfectly cooked piece of, and we use the haddock in the beer batter on this one. Beautiful golden brown, light crust on it. And I think that's going to be absolutely delicious. So Mom, if you can hit pause in the air fryer and throw these in, we've got the fries cut up and they don't take long in the air fryer. What I usually do though, is I do put a little bit of salt just before I put them in. And then we're going to put these right into our air fryer. I heated the air fryer up. So the air fryer is hot. And we're going to put that in there and let those finish cooking. So as we're wrapping up, we've got our tartar sauce. We've got our coleslaw. Got my messy board. We're going to do one last batter. And that's our tempura batter. There should be a bowl with a cup of flour in it. Look behind you. Yeah. And we're going to be using, thanks, Mom. I really love this batter. And again, that tempura, I think, is inspired from Japan. And we're going to be using a white rice flour. So this one, and I love this flour. It's very, very fine. And it creates a very delicate batter that's delicious on everything. So the other ingredients, so I've got a cup of rice flour. And I've got some cornstarch here. This is what is a key ingredient for this batter to work properly. So in the amount I'm making, I'm going to use a half a cup of cornstarch. And I'm going to combine that with the rice flour. Now, these are all white and light, so it's going to create a very different look. The other thing that's really wonderful about this recipe is you can put any vegetables and use this wonderful batter for vegetables as well. And I've seen avocados, everything done in a tempura batter. And I say yes and thank you. So we're going to use a half a teaspoon of salt. So I'm just getting this in a half. There we go. You want to get your measurements pretty accurate with this one because it's really important for the batter to have the right consistency. And I'm going to use about 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. That's also going to be going into this. So as we did before, we want to stir this up and to make sure that this gets well mixed because we've got the baking powder or soda in there and that salt. And if you don't mix your dry ingredients, chances are your batter's not going to turn out well. That's about as far as Michelle's baking skills go. But speaking of baking, I'll ask Luis when he comes back in to talk about our wonderful friend, because I've got a cupcake here that I can't wait to have. And he's been wonderfully supporting her at the Moncton Farmers Market with her dulce de leche, her wonderful different desserts, cheesecakes, and these wonderful cupcakes in this beautiful packaging that I must say, I'm very excited about this one because I'm told that it's stuffed with Nutella. So Jawad, I can see this being Lujane's new favorite. That's Jawad's daughter, who loves her fish and chips, but I think she likes her treats even more. But that's when you're 4. I think that's your job. So the last step for this batter, I've already got an egg in here, and the egg I've whisked up. And an important step for this is I am going to add some cold water, and I need to add 2 cups of cold water, but I need to make sure it's very cold. So I'm taking my water out of the fridge right now. And this is, I'm going to use a Perrier. I'm going to use a sparkling water. And you don't always have to use one with carbonation, but I know that this one is going to have an amazing flavor to it. And exactly, it's going to help puff up. So that's 250 mils. I need 2 cans, and I only got 1 out. And what's really funny, I think around the world, we know these, and some of them have flavors in them. So I've had to double check to make sure I didn't accidentally put a lime one in. So you can see in here, oh, the bubbles are going in. And we've got our egg that's already mixed together. And I'm going to whisk these ingredients. And I've made a really nice sized bowl of my tempura batter because I plan to use it for a lot of good things. So, and you can even see it's still got all the bubbles on top. So we're going to get the rest of our haddock out, and we're going to batter this fish with some tempura and make a few more of those cod bites. So while Mom and I get some fish cooking, let's go back over and see how Luis is doing in his kitchen.
All right. So the final step is just, plate the dish. So I have a little bit of spring onion or green onion here, and I took just the green part. Don't take the white part because it's more onion flavor, and you just want, the freshness of the green part. So I'm gonna cut it very, very thin. This green onion, because it's gonna be like the garnish of the shrimps. It's gonna be on top of the shrimps. So you don't want to find big chunks of green onion. You just want a little bit of this vegetable, the smiling vegetable, as Michelle says. I love green onion. It brings great flavor to every dish, and is a super common ingredient in all Latin American cuisine. So now here we have the tostones. Look at them, beautiful, right? So I'm going to fill them with our delicious shrimp and the coconut sauce. There. A little bit more. And then you just put a little bit of the green onion on top. This. So you can have a, let's say, a chefy finish for your dish. And here you are. Tostones with shrimps. Voila. You saw them, Michelle? Let me show you again. Here's how they end up.
Do you deliver? We haven't said that in a while. I see some of our fans. I know Dion and Darlene and Jawad have heard that. My Aunt Rita, Joan, so many times when we see that, we either want smell-o-vision or feeling like it's the do you deliver, because that looks absolutely amazing. And as
Thank you.
mom's just getting the fish cooked in behind us, you know, I love food that you can have in a bite. It's easy to do. I like those ones with the dishes. It's like everybody gets their own personal wonderful meal.
Yeah,
So the tempura batter is giving us a little bit of challenge in the pan.
you wanna try?
Cooking. I'm cooking, I'm talking and you can't hear me. So thank you so much, Shawad, our production manager, keeping me in check. It's funny, I've got this beautiful Celtic bowl that I'm going to build my fish and chips dish in. And we're going to use a couple of types of fish because I've got this beautiful haddock. And my mom's just finishing cooking with that much lighter tempura batter in a pan, the cod. And we're going to add our fries and our side dishes. And this is really where I think a dish comes together. You can get a fish fry here, we call it, where you would get multiple types of fish fried up in different batters or lightly done. And it really builds that great platter to share. I will share one story. When I was in Morocco, we went for fish fry. And I know Jawad shared a couple of pictures. We literally were picking the fish that came off the wharf and choosing the fish that we were going to eat. And what an amazing experience it was. These are expert and very skilled cooks, and they know exactly what they're doing. And many times it was the full fish, and we just easily picked it off the bones and probably enjoyed some of the freshest fish I've ever had. So thank you guys for that experience. So we've got our fries, you know, good ingredients. When you're cooking, using the good fresh ingredients usually will help make sure, see they're nice and golden brown, that you get really good results. So please make sure you take the time and visit those local places. Start with good ingredients. So we've got our fries in here. I'm just going to season those with a little salt. And I've got a Funday sea salt here. And I love getting some of our sea salts. This is a habanero. So it's going to have a little kick. And I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of that on top. Funday Coast sea salt. A little goes a long way. So that's also a really great thing. And then, of course, I've got my side with my coleslaw that's going to go in here. And it hasn't sat long, but I already taste tested it and it was so delicious. And I have to say, it might be one of my hot fry first weekends. Beautiful, Mom.
They're just golden brown.
Here's all of our tempura bites, very light, the crispy coating, very hot to touch. That's on the cod bites. And we're going to top our fish and chip off with this beautiful cod fillet. Wow. The batter's so good, Mom. It's almost slipping off.
Well, this is it.
And then, of course, we did a few more potatoes. And we'll show you. Oh, here we go. Again, with this one, a little bit of that beautiful tartar sauce. And now a tempura fish bite on top. And you're going to see the difference. Let's set it over here. And we'll take these, just hold that plate right, well, Mom. We'll show those two different bites. Those are beautiful.
Trade ya.
So there you go. Your darker, chunkier one is our beer batter crusted potato and chip, or chip and fish and chips. Fish and chip. And then the lighter one is that beautiful light tempura batter. So those are going to be absolutely delicious to enjoy. And here, Michelle's going to put a little green on the plate to make it a little more finished. So wonderful appetizers are just a small bite. Just give those to you. But
I get
let's
to eat them all?
well, you could, but we'll make sure that we share. We love to share. I'm just going to finish off this dish. And we really enjoyed our fish and chips episode. And there we go. We've got our two beautiful chunks of fish, a pile of delicious French fries, our coleslaw, and this is going to be breakfast. Diana, I wish I could have cooked fish and chips for you when you were here. So that means you have to come back and visit from Colombia and share in these beautiful flavors. And when you come visit, I can guarantee you most restaurants have really good fish and chips throughout Atlantic Canada. Mom had too many plates in her hand.
Couldn't hold them.
Couldn't hold them. So we always want to say from our kitchens to yours, thank you so much for enjoying this time. We hope that with Luis and Mom and I, we inspired some few extra dishes. Get out and shop around at the local vendors, at your farmers markets, wherever you are. They are experts and passionate about the foods that they're cooking. And I think that you'll get very surprised how you can expand your palate. And I want to say next week, you can set that down, Mom, it's going to be Father's Day. I'm getting my towel. This is one of my favorite things to buy when I travel around the world. This one has the Caribbean on it. And it's Father's Day, and we've got our wonderful Sheena from MacArthur's Flower Shop, who's also a chef, is going to come in and she's going to share with her daughter Ayani. So happy birthday to her today. And she's going to share one of their dishes from Antigua. So we couldn't be more excited to have that. And I'm going to get these beautiful flowers out and just say, right, Mom?
Gorgeous. Thanks to
Put some flowers.
yes, and thanks to MacArthur's Flower Shop on Mountain Road.
Right.
They're gorgeous.
Right?
Yeah.
Still amazing. We absolutely love them. Get some flowers in your life, get some music, and take opportunity to spend some time in the kitchen. Luis, what are the final words from your guys' kitchen today?
Let's see if okay. Yeah, well, I really appreciate this opportunity to share our flavors, our our products, and the opportunity to mix our culinary ways in South America with something very typical from UK and North America, like fish and chips. You're doing a fantastic job, putting together all the cooks, all the people that we try to do something different here in the Maritimes. And we as cooks really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
look, you're welcome. Donata. And I'm wearing my love t-shirt. So there we go. Please check out our new YouTube channel and follow us along. Sign up for our newsletter. And I'm going to get a couple of recipes from Luis and have him put some guest recipes into those and just stay connected with us. And we just really want to say again, thank you so much. And to all the fathers across the world, it's Father's Day this coming weekend. And take time to spoil dad. We're going to cook some favorite recipes that any one of us has and dedicate them back to our fathers. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be barbecuing something. And he can have a little taste in heaven with that. But have fun and keep cooking. Thanks so much, everybody.
Take
Good
care.
weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. See you, Dion.